On the 13th of April 2022, a cult leader was arrested for rape, false imprisonment, and revenge porn in Dekalb County, Georgia. To his followers, he was the reincarnation of God, but as former members came forward, another story emerged. A story about a narcissist with a desire for power whose teachings led his followers only to suffering and abuse. This case follows a group of people who believed in someone so entirely that they followed him even as he descended further and further into the dark. This is the story of the rise and fall of Carbon Nation. Welcome to The Worst of Us. The story of Carbon Nation is long and intertwines many lives. When researching the group, it is tempting to jump into the story at the foundation of the cult and outlandish criminal behavior of its leader. However, to properly understand how things would eventually get so extreme, disturbing, and bizarre.
So if you lack melanin, you are genetically retarded.
I breastfeed. That's how I heal myself. Breast milk, nigga.
I'm naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids.
Don't you have it in your motherfucking life to need a motherfucking strawberry unless I actually want motherfucker.
Could you find some idiots online to pay you to do this to them?
All you bitches belong to the three, and I will have my way with you as I see fit.
Why don't you just let me go? Why don't you just kill me already? Oh, baby, Eligio. Oh. What? Come on, son. The fuck wrong with these bitches, man? Huh? What? You get your like hey, baby. You get yourself the best way.
We have to begin with the story of one man. Eligio Bishop was born on the 29th of April 1982 in Harlem. His parents would unfortunately die when he was only young, his mother from an overdose and his father from a heart condition, which led to him and his brother being put into the foster care system as children. Eligio would later detail being abused by a man called Mr. Pope around this time, when he was only 6 or 7 years old.
I pretty much, was humping on the other kids in the foster home, just to get my rocks off or just to feel something, you know what I'm saying? And, he caught me one day, Mr. Pope, the dude I got separated from my foster father. He caught me, and basically the dude just made me do acts with another boy that I was already humping on anyway.
Around age 11 or 12, Eligio and his brother were adopted in New Jersey by the Bishop family. Eligio would later claim that this was for financial reasons and described consistent abuse at the hands of Miss Bishop.
She said we was emotionally disturbed. She put us on Ritalin so that she can get paid for us too. So it was a hustle for her. Getting kids was a hustle for her. You feel me? She didn't adopt us for any good reasons.
This lady got an extension cord and wrapped it around her hand. Yeah. And she said, hold out your hands. And I was like, so she started whipping me. I was like, my whole hand went numb. It was crazy. And she started telling me about, and she put them out again. And she just kept hitting me.
In his teenage years, Eligio described how he began to stand up to Miss Bishop, and that once he had stood up to her, he became resistant to any authority.
You know what I'm saying? This gave me a temper. Once I stuck up to her, nobody could tell me nothing. Like, once I stuck up to this lady, no one can tell me at all. Like, nothing at all. No one could tell me anything at all. So, fuck it, I'm wilding now. Like, the police can't tell me nothing. We was wilding on the police. I was fighting police. I was wild. At this point, she broke something in me, and it just I was rebellious to any kind of authority. I was like, fuck that.
It is worth noting here that abuse is the defining feature of Eligio Bishop's early life, and this was potentially instructive for his later behavior. The intergenerational cycle of abuse is a pattern whereby victimized people can become abusive themselves in later life, linking abusive behavior to feelings of power, inadequacy, insecurity, or grandiosity. Although it is certainly not always the case, and many people are able to break this cycle, it seems entirely plausible that Eligio's early victimization could have led to the abuse he would go on to perpetrate later in life. Around age 13, Eligio had fallen in with a bad crowd and ended up in Jamesburg Juvenile Jail.
And from there, I went to Jamesburg. Jamesburg was a prison for boys. And in Jamesburg, it was a lot of fighting. You feel me what I'm saying? And I think I died one time in there. I got jumped by 20 Latin kings.
Now known as New Jersey Training School, Jamesburg is an infamous juvenile detention center for boys described as a house of horrors and hell on earth, which has faced calls for its closure due to its appalling conditions and stigmatization of underage people as criminals. Eligio would spend the next 3 years of his life in Jamesburg, being transferred to maximum security prison when he was 16 years old and only re-entering the population aged 19, having been incarcerated since 13. He claims that he trained with the Marines following his release.
I went to the Army. I went to boot camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky, in the middle of the winter, training with the Marines. I was training with the Marines. It was crazy. Basic training with the Marines.
The next phase of Eligio Bishop's life involved living off women he was dating, as he described how he was homeless but would use his relationships to help him get back on his feet.
After that, my sister kicked me out. I started getting into arguments with my sister, so I was sleeping in the bush. I was sleeping outside in the woods. But I always had women. Like, even when I was broke, I always had a whole bunch of women. Like, I was the dude that was like, yo, Lee, where the bitches at? He's always coming like, yo, Lee, where the bitches at?
He moved to Atlanta, where he would eventually be introduced to erotic dancing and ultimately male escorting and pornography.
I became a gay male stripper, just a stripper. But then I started dancing for women, and the women would pay you, but they didn't pay you like the guys did. So I like dancing for women because it got me a lot of attention from women. And women was like paying me to have sex with them. And I was a gigolo, and I was like, I would do massages and whatever. I became a male escort. I was a male escort for guys and women. Like, I would do the massage. I would jack off for dudes. I did all that stuff. Like, you feel me? Like, I was gay for pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that word. I made a lot of money. So when you see me on that, they show you like a doctor video and shit. I was young. I didn't know about the internet, and he didn't pay me no fucking $50. Nigga. He paid me $2,000 to do that scene. And it's a gay scene that's going around with me. I'm doing an exam with a doctor. You feel me? And at the time, like, it was a hustle for me, so I didn't really care. You know what I'm saying? So he wanted to jerk me off. You know what I'm saying? And do a record exam and all that. So I didn't know that the internet was going to be this big now. Like, I didn't know that they was going to catch that and be like, oh, yeah, remember this shit?
There are also records of Bishop being arrested for forcible entry, aggravated battery, and driving without a license between 2009 and 2012, and even being divorced in 2013. It is significant that Bishop's life as a young man was completely defined by transactional sexual relationships, where he benefited financially from his romantic partners and his clients as a dancer and escort. It seems plausible that years of these types of relationships could have influenced his later behaviors of sexualizing and financially exploiting the members of his cult. After 10 years in the sex industry, Bishop became a barber, claiming to be so successful that he ended up cutting hair for celebrities on The Monique Show and opening his own salon in 2014.
I wound up being very successful as a mobile barber, meeting all kind of people. I actually went on a Monique show, cut hair for her, and I started cutting hair for celebrities.
As a side note, it is worth disclosing that this first chapter is built almost entirely from Eligio Bishop's own words, and there is very little public evidence to substantiate his claims. This is not to say that everything Bishop said here is inaccurate or exaggerated, but just stating it as outrightly factual without mentioning the implicit bias of the source would be irresponsible. Links to the full compilations of Bishop discussing his early life are provided in the description. Over the next 2 years, Eligio would experience a spiritual transition, describing how he gave away all his material things and began to form the beliefs he would eventually preach to his following.
I was falling asleep, and another set of eyes opened. It's the only thing I could say. I know I was laying in the bed, but another set of eyes opened, and basically I was standing up in another realm. It was like more real than this realm. And I was slipping into different realities. I was in a hospital bed. Then I was in another realm where I was balled up into a ball and everything was upside down. This is when everything started because I just knew, stop taking showers. I gave the barbershop away. I gave cars away. I gave all that I owned away. I'm a philosopher. I am a spiritual leader. I'm a spiritual being. I'm a spiritual teacher. That's what I am. And I knew I was because it's the only thing that made me happy.
Following the launch of Facebook Live in 2016, a fledgling Natureboy would begin to preach his views to the internet for the very first time. This would be the foundation of the group that would eventually become Carbon Nation, as Bishop attracted lost souls into his following with the promise of enlightenment, and they ran away to live by his beliefs, as Melanation. In June of 2016, Bishop left the USA for Honduras, urging people on Facebook to let him be their guide out of the hell realm. This would be the establishment of Melanation, the first iteration of Bishop's cult. Melanation got their name from melanin and held beliefs that people with more melanin and darker skin were superior to those with less. They believed that modern society, which they referred to as Babylon, was damaging, and that people should break away and live in nature to become spiritually elevated. They practiced veganism, nudity, polygamy, refraining from bathing, and defecating on trees.
I really don't like using toilets.
What is the thing you hate so much about the toilet?
The soil belongs to the trees, and I'm in an abusive relationship with the tree if I'm not giving it back.
Erica Carroll, known as Blueprint, was an early follower of Melanation and would later describe the verbal and mental abuse during this period, ultimately leaving the group after witnessing Bishop physically assault his then-girlfriend.
The group back then was known as Melanation. Carol says it was led by Eligio Bishop, who went by Natureboy. She says all 9 of them were forced to sleep in tents, use restrooms outside, and attend long meetings to, quote, face your demons.
It was a lot of verbal and mental abuse.
But after 1 year, what got her to leave was when she says she witnessed Bishop hit his girlfriend at the time.
He slapped her up and punched her a couple of times, and then he told her to go in the tent and give him oral sex. So that was the breaking point for me.
Erica's account shows us that, as early as 2016, abuse was baked into the foundation of Eligio Bishop's cult. It is also worth noting at this point that every former member of the group, including Erica, would later describe in interviews that they were searching for meaning or guidance in life at the point they fell in with Melanation.
And it was just in a place in my life where I was just searching for some spiritual truth.
Not really having a parental figure as a father guiding me in the right direction made me go towards men to get guidance from them.
I ran from myself. I let the fear of not knowing what I was going to do with my life cause me to make an impulsive decision.
I had an identity problem at that time, and I needed something to attach to.
This shows us how a false prophet can thrive by claiming to have all the answers when people have uncertainties or insecurities about their own lives. It is also a potential reason Bishop would be so effective in attracting people who would put up with his abuse. Someone who is viewed as being in a position of authority is less likely to be called out for bad behavior, and every person who joined the cult would be convinced that Bishop was a leader who had the answers to their problems. Over the next few years, the group were traveling throughout Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, visiting Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Belize, and Panama, as well as Puerto Rico and Mexico. Reporter Ben Zand would visit Costa Rica when they were settled there to search for Natureboy and Melanation. Even at this early stage, there were people speaking out about the dark side of Natureboy, and Ben was able to speak to former members about their experiences with the cult leader.
Could you just tell me a bit about kind of what was it like?
Everyone goes to sleep at the same time. Like when I was there, we was all sleeping in one room, and if Natureboy is not done talking or done doing this, then we don't go to sleep. Like, they see him as a father. They see him as like their master teacher. You don't disrespect the master teacher.
Is it a cult?
It is.
Ben was also able to speak with active Melanation members about their leader.
What's Natureboy like? Because he's quite the character, isn't he?
Yeah, when I watched the video, I felt like I need to be with him. I messaged Natureboy this exact same day. I was with Melanation within like 2 weeks.
Honestly, of watching the first video? Wow. What were your family saying at this point?
I mean, I don't really consider them my family. I don't really talk to them much. The only one I really talk to sometimes is like blood mother, and she has never really been like supportive and like uplifting. Most of us have been through a lot of darkness.
Obviously with all the coverage that came from you, that's when the kind of idea of it being a cult came out. What do you think of that? People saying it's a cult.
I think that Canada is a cult, like the US is a cult, everyone is a part of a cult.
The coverage Ben mentions refers to an incident in February of 2017, where the young woman being interviewed here put the group into the headlines for the first time when she was reported missing and then spotted in a Melanation livestream by her parents.
This hardware that you are now looking at, this hardware is a mutation hardware from the archetype.
Her name is Kayla Reed, and she had made her way to Costa Rica from Canada to be with the group, who renamed her Sunray. Following the publication of this story, Kayla was contacted and had 2 strange conversations with her aunt and mother, where both women described hearing Eligio more or less telling Kayla what to say in the background. This invited media scrutiny about the nature of this group, whether it was a cult and if its members were being manipulated. This was obviously unsettling for Bishop, who gave an interview to CBC in March to assure everyone that Kayla was just fine.
We're an infection in the body, in our own bodies. That's what the earth realm is. Life, we are inside of our own body.
Natureboy.
Each individual holographically. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the girl that we know as Kayla now. How is she? Is she safe? Is she healthy?
I don't know a Kayla.
Sunray.
Oh, Sunray, yes, she is healthy. She is beautiful. Oh my, Sunray is just, she is the happiest that, she says she's ever been.
His response failed to calm the media's interest in the group, and the next day, Kayla posted a video saying she was coming home from Costa Rica.
So, yeah, I'm going back to Canada, mainly because, of the safety of us. I don't want anybody getting hurt because I'm here. So I'm going to go back there for now until I get things straightened out.
The video is interesting because we see the manipulation of Kayla by Eligio, as he encourages her to say exactly what he wants her to say to clear his name, as well as telling her to ignore negative comments, which are presumably saying she's being manipulated.
So why did you leave in the first place?
We can't own.
Why did you leave in the?
Why
don't you tell them why you left in the first place? Did I call you like, hey, come join us, be here with us? Am I controlling and manipulating your mind?
I was gonna leave Canada even before I found nature. So
don't worry about the comments. Don't read those, because these a lot of people are sick. They're seeing things from their perspective in life, and we can't allow our worlds to be and our perspectives to be affected by someone else's perspective. We have to keep a healthy perspective that's their perception. People could be very, very mean, and that's exactly why this is happening, because the media has stalked us day and night.
Over the next years, the cult would search for a new place to settle, being refused flight at the end of 2017 due to overwhelmingly bad body odor that was disturbing other passengers. Bishop would go live claiming that this was racist discrimination rather than the natural outcome of members not washing for over a year.
Spirit Airlines won't let us on the flight because they said we stink, but nobody stinks. But basically they said you're too black, and too many of us together with our hair like this. This is illegal. This is illegal. What just happened is illegal. So basically our money is no good with Spirit Airlines because we're black. It is discriminating against black people because they don't like our hair. They say we stink because our hair is roots. Because the way our hair grow, they're saying that we stink.
There would also be disturbing stories that emerged during this period. It was revealed that a member named Mama Dia, real name Magdalena Sevilla, had died after not taking her heart medication, as the group did not believe in Western medicine. She can be seen talking about this in an old live stream.
The transition for you has been good. Oh, definitely. You should talk about my health. I had high blood pressure. I'm still overweight, but I'm working on that. And I was taking medication for my heart, but I don't have that anymore. I've been grounded, eating the right on the B6 diet, so that has helped.
Years later, following the unraveling of the cult, former members would describe Eligio's reaction to this tragic event, and how there had been no research or questions about Mama Dia's health when she showed up to join the group.
When y'all go there and see her and you look at Natureboy and saying, what are we going to do now? What is he going to do? Like, what happens
He didn't
next?
do anything. He completely passed the buck. Like, he wanted to know what Solar was going to do.
The way that, Mama Dia thing went down and such like that, I hold myself accountable because there was no extensive research or extensive questions asked about her health. You feel what I'm saying?
Mama Dia is remembered as a beautiful person who cared for one of Eligio's wives, Velvet, whilst he was abusing her. Velvet would later open up about this in an interview.
Mama Dia was the most beautiful person I ever met in my entire life. But she came in at a very intense time of me being physically abused. Mama Dia would come to me with towels. She would come to me with clean linen. She would come to me with my food. She would come to me to conversate with me. I had no idea that she was going through what she was going through.
Velvet was Eligio's main wife throughout the early years of the cult. In this same interview, she described just some of the abuse that she suffered at his hands.
He physically abused me to a small degree. And I was like, you ain't gonna hit me, period. Like, so I'm fighting him, like we fighting. But now he's choking me out because he need to get me to stop trying to fight him back. Now he's like trying to exile me from existence because I'm trying to fight him back. I'm like, okay, how can I not be in a situation where I'm gonna get strangled and not get abused? So it always turned into me doing what he wanted me to do, but I could never get with it. So it will always be physical and then ending in him choking me out and blacking out. And then waking up and being like, I still don't have my documentation. I'm 5 months pregnant now. I'm 6 months pregnant now. I'm 7 months pregnant now. Still don't have my documentation. I'm 7 months pregnant now. I'm 8 months pregnant. I'm having a baby now. I still don't have my documentation. How the fuck I'm gonna get out of it? How I'm gonna leave? Still also while not wanting to do the things that he wanted me to do. So I'll just back down and be like, you know what? Fuck everybody. I don't even care. But my body is shutting down. I'm shutting down. So he's angry with me because I can't physically perform with him or be with him. So he's forcing me at this point with the women, without the women. And I'm sitting there like, I want to leave.
Velvet and other female former members would also describe the pattern by which they were groomed for sex with Bishop. Female members would be brought into Melanation as a love interest for another male member, and eventually end up sleeping with Eligio after he sowed discontent in their original relationship.
The relationship with me and Omek got really sticky because Nature Boy will pull both of us to the side and tell Omek one thing and tell me one thing.
So that's what the men in Carbonation would do. They would pursue the women, get them in, but when the women get in, Nature Boy takes them.
It seems that Eligio found gratification in taking women from the men in the group, exerting his control and dominance over them. Then in turn, his relationships with the women would turn abusive and toxic as he exerted control and dominance over them as well. Throughout this story, we see that Eligio Bishop's cult is about control, not enlightenment. And as he molded his followers into sycophants that accepted his every word without question, the views he preached to the world would become increasingly disturbing. The next clip is Nature Boy admitting to and justifying child abuse, broadcast proudly as wisdom for people to follow. It is obviously disturbing, so viewers are advised to skip forward if you feel it would be troubling for you.
See, my kids, when I see my son, this is how I treat my son. We naked together. My son started being ashamed of his body, and I seen it happen. I didn't want that to happen. They made him ashamed of his body. They showed him that he was naked. I did not want him to know he was naked. I said, son, look here. I didn't even want him to be in a world where he knew he was naked. I wanted my son to be so pure that he never knew he was naked. I take bath with my kids. I'm naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids. I'll never be ashamed of sex. My son be breastfeeding and I'll be making love to his mom. That's me, bruh. That's how I get down around kids. I try to keep their purity. I don't want to take their purity away by covering myself up. They're going to be ashamed and cover themselves up. And I'm pure at heart. So you can think in your mind, if I let another kid here, I'm going to have to change the way I am so that your kid can be comfortable around me. No, I'm going to be naked as fuck in front of your kids. My son comes up and grabs my penis. I let him grab my penis. I had sex with his mom. I'm making love to his mother. After I'm done, I'm laying there chilling. He grabbed my penis. And he's playing with my penis. I let that happen. I say, yeah, look, you got one too. And he laughing. And the moment is over. It's pure. And if I do that with somebody else's kids, and you see how people turned on me over here? You see how people turn on me? Bro, I'm real human, bro. Yeah, that's real. That's how I'm with my son. My son try to be, oh, daddy, don't cover up nothing, son. We naked in front of each other. We not naked. It's our clothes. What are you talking about? My son play with my pee. He like, I say, yeah, you got one too. They kids, they want to know. I don't want to hide shit from them. I make love right in front of them. I make love to their mama right in front of them. Like a real man. That's how I get down, homie. That's just me. And if I did that around other people's kids, they would put me under the fucking jail. You can't be a real human. That's why I don't let nobody kids here but mine, homie. Because I ain't about to alter my life for no one. I walk around naked.
In 2020, having changed their name to Carbonation, the whole cult was arrested in Hawaii for breaking pandemic restrictions and was eventually deported back to the U.S. The group would be deported so many times they would eventually decide to resettle in a communal home in Dekalb County, marking the end of the Melanation years. This transition from Melanation to Carbonation would be the beginning of a new phase for the group, where teaching was replaced by spectacle. Live streams became more unhinged, and members faced increasing levels of humiliation and abuse, blindly following their leader as he spiraled further and further out of control. Carbonation returned to Babylon.
You are my woman, my property. This is my earth.
Because God and Satan is the same thing. I'm both of them niggas.
They motherfucking worship me, bro. They really think I'm God, bro, and I am God.
If it wasn't that, nigga, we have our foot on these hoes, nigga. We be throwing these hoes around, nigga.
It's abuse, but she won't leave. It's because, oh, it's mind control. But bitch, it ain't that much mind control in the world. But you doing it to yourself at this point.
By the time Carbonation had returned to America, Eligio had adopted new names, including the Three God and Babaji. Although the cult retained some of his original messaging, this changed as well, with live streams throughout this period drifting away from Eligio's preaching his views and becoming long, bizarre monologues, where it's hard to imagine he has a specific message in mind.
They're calling, I'm just not answering.
They're calling, but I'm not answering. Stop doing that, you fucking goofy ass. Cause I'm real, you're fake. I'm real, you're fake. My laugh is real. That's real, nigga. Playing, this ain't no fucking joke. Y'all niggas is goofies. I'm not a goofy, and you're gonna realize that in a minute. Black men need to breastfeed. Black men need to breastfeed. That's all I was doing that for, to let y'all know. I breastfeed. That's how I heal myself. Breast milk, nigga.
I'm the man. I'm God. I was here before the white man. They could kill me right now, but they better kiss my ass. In the process, motherfucker.
One feature of Carbon Nation live streams is call and response phrases, where Eligio will say something and the cult will reply in chorus.
Pyramid. 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 Pyramid.
I agree.
I see at 3.
333.
One mind. One dream. One mind. One dream. One self. One mind. One self. One mind. One self. Unity.
Outstanding.
I stand out.
Outstanding.
I stand out.
I 3.
I see at 3.
I 3.
I see at 3.
I 3.
I see at 3.
This seems to be yet another way for Eligio to dominate his followers, as they are programmed to hang on his every word and respond if called upon. Eligio also dominated the group by punishing them if they broke rules that he set for the group. Former member Janae, known as Natiri in the group, describes in this interview how members were made to stand in a corner, sometimes for hours, and would be punished further if they fell asleep.
The corner is literally going in a corner, staring at it for 2 hours or more, depending on how he wants to punish you that day. And just being there with your own thoughts. You're not able to move. You're supposed to stand silent, stand on your feet for 2 hours looking at the wall.
Can you sleep? I mean, can you doze off?
No. And if you doze, you can't doze off. Some people would, nod off and stuff, but you'll get in trouble.
Janae also described how the rules of the cult would change during this time, depending on how Eligio was feeling, making it impossible for any members to avoid breaking them.
No, he would change the rules. He would be up and down. He would take the rules away and put new in, whatever he saw fit at the time. At one time, we couldn't smoke weed. Now after he smokes weed, everyone can smoke weed.
Remember Janae, by the way, as she is instrumental in the next chapter of the story. Arbitrary rule-making is a pattern often displayed by narcissists, where they will invent or change a rule without informing someone, and then punish them for breaking it. It is thought to come from a sense of grandiosity, where the narcissist believes they know best for the person they are trying to control. Eligio fits this description during this period, as he had a god complex, reinforced daily by the people around him. Flexing his control of his followers, Eligio began to escalate tensions between the women in the group during live streams, seeming to enjoy the grip he had on them.
We said right smack her. Smack her. No, smack her. Fuck playing, bitch. Get your motherfucking sit out.
We really about to let it go till y'all get tired. What's up? Afro ready, nigga. Your birthday up. What's up?
I'm trying to see.
What's up?
Why you keep disrespecting Baba G?
Why you keep disrespecting me? Why you keep being ungrateful?
It's because you trigger me.
I don't give a fuck. Why you keep being ungrateful every fucking day?
It don't matter. You need to look at yourself. Baba G not your enemy. Because when you treat him like one, this was gonna happen.
The woman being tormented here is Malia, who Bishop would select to be his wife and the primary target of his abuse after Velvet managed to escape the cult in this period. Bishop was always misogynistic, consistently displaying an entitlement to women in both his teachings and personal relationships, but having lost his grip on Velvet, it seems he escalated efforts to break Malia down, humiliate her, and keep her under his control. This abuse is difficult to watch, so please skip this section if you feel it will be upsetting for you.
You're ungrateful, hoe. Don't nobody owe you shit. Don't nobody owe you shit, Malia. You got to work in real life. You're not that beautiful that a gonna bag on you. You're not that bad. You're just not. But ain't nobody about to bag on you. You're not that bad, Malia. You really not that bad. You really not that bad. I'm really treating you and like your position you're in is for a bad bitch. So stop playing like you need special attention and act like the rest of these hoes and be grateful that you're here because they're very grateful. See the attitude in her face?
What? Say, ooh, that was a good one. Let's make some sense back into me.
That was a good one, Zoga. That was a good one. Slap a bit back to sense. Like, stop wasting our time making this shit about you, ho. This about me. Rub my motherfucking legs and my toes and suck on my toes. Fuck you. And you can say it's abuse, but please leave. Can she please just leave me alone then? It's abuse, but she won't leave. It's because, oh, it's mind control. But it ain't that much mind control in the world, bitch. You doing it to yourself at this point.
At the time of writing, Malia is still an active member of Carbon Nation. It is worth noting here that despite Bishop's consistent rotation of wives, allegations about his sexuality were prevalent.
So mean and insensitive to so many people. World peace immediately.
I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry, Daddy. You the nigga, you that nigga? And then I'm gonna eat your dick off.
It is the LGBTQ community that will show you how to worship me.
And I watch him pull his thing out and put the phone camera on it. And I know he's on the phone with the guy. And I'm like, nobody else don't see this?
Former members would disclose that toward the end of Carbon Nation, Eligio was leaning more into pansexuality.
Question was, did they really run a train on the train?
Yes, they really ran.
That's a tongue twister like a motherfucker.
All right, so he would invite transsexuals over, and then the men would be in the room. So he had men in the room with the transsexual woman, and had the transsexual woman set them up or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Eligio's sexuality is, of course, irrelevant to his character. Former members would theorize, however, that the repression of these feelings is what fueled his hatred of women.
I think I see the similarity with the P. Diddy and Eligio and the R. Kelly, because I feel like they all hate women.
Oh, wow.
I feel like they all hate women, and they hide behind women because they cannot accept their sexuality of who they really are.
As Bishop continued to unravel, his abuse extended beyond his romantic partners to the other members of his cult. Live streams from this period showed the world some of the physical and psychological abuse he was subjecting his followers to.
You ask for a strawberry? Bitch, ask for a strawberry? Huh?
No, my chief.
Don't you ever in your motherfucking life give me a motherfucking strawberry unless I ask for one, motherfucker. I made this for and I made you. Ever disrespect God. Smack that nigga. Don't you ever disrespect me, man.
The black man is God.
The black man is God.
Put your arms to the side. Black man, I apologize to you.
Black man, I apologize to you.
For being a bitch.
For being a bitch.
Could you find some idiots online to pay you to do this to them? I bet you could. Could you find some weak online that have money that will give you money to humiliate them publicly? Can you do it? If you can, let me know.
There was increasing concern online for the safety of the members of Carbon Nation, worries that if this monster continued to escalate the level of abuse toward his followers, it was only a matter of time before something truly terrible happened. And then, in March of 2022, it did. Remember Janae? Well, on the 23rd of March 2022, she had finally decided to leave the group. She had been reprimanded by Eligio for being too friendly with guests, and he would tell female members to hit her in the ensuing confrontation. Janae would later describe in an interview how Eligio and his followers were abusing her as she tried to leave, attempting to gaslight her into thinking that she was the issue, so she would stay to make amends.
Before I got set back down, Efru comes in and nudges me in the head and pushes me back. Sheba starts getting in my face or starts saying something, and I smirked at her because she would have never got like that if it was one-on-one. And that's when Zoka smacked the daylight out of me. And whenever you try to leave Carbon Nation, they're going to make sure that you know that it's your fault and you're at fault and you're stupid for leaving and it's hell out there and you're not going to go nowhere. And there's this point when my stuff is packed up and I'm on my knees in front of Baba G. He's telling me that I'm used up. No one's going to want me. I've been passed around. I'm a pass around. All this demonic shit to my face. And I'm just taking it.
After she went back inside to say goodbye, she described how Eligio grabbed her hand and took her into another room, refusing to let her leave without sleeping with him one last time. Janae repeatedly refused Eligio, but eventually relented, later saying in court that she felt powerless to say no at this moment. Janae also talked about this in an interview, and although there is of course no graphic detail included here, viewers are still advised to skip forward if you feel her testimony may be troubling for you.
That's when he started taking me into the other room, and I said, no, stop. Like, I really got to go at this point. Like, then my Uber's outside. So he takes me into the other room, and I start crying in his arms. Because, I don't know, I was just emotional. Everything was just, like, piling up on me. The Uber done left me, so I felt like I was trapped there again. And I was like, oh my God, like, I just missed the Uber, like, and he's telling me, I'm not gonna let you go. You know, you're my bitch, you're my property. I didn't want to like resist him. I didn't want to like, you know, because any of that, because it was just like, if I felt like if I was gonna resist him and I already done left, the Uber done left, and my friend is calling me like back to back to back, asking me if I'm okay. And I'm just like being a stupid ass, like letting him manipulate me back into the situation and allowing him to have sex with me. So at this point, I was like, oh my God, I'm stupid as because I'm a sucker for fucking love. Like, he knows exactly what to do to get me back. And at this point, in my mind afterwards, I'm telling him I still want to go. And he's like, shut up, you my bitch. Like, you're not going nowhere, you're my property. Just hurry up and get over that shit and let's go. Like, you wasting time.
It is worth noting here that Janae's description of allowing Eligio to have sex with her in this interview would later be labeled as proof by Eligio's followers that she fabricated rape allegations against him, despite her describing how she asked him to stop in this same section of the interview. The law states that consent given under pressure or duress is not consent. It must be given freely, and this was clearly not the case here. The group's attempts to discredit Janae only served to show how deeply they were brainwashed at this time, choosing to defend a rapist rather than consider they might be wrong about their leader. Janae escaped later that night, and Eligio posted explicit videos of them on social media in an effort to degrade her even after she had left. Janae would describe in a later interview how this humiliation almost made her return to the cult.
And it just made me feel like I was nothing. It made me feel like I had to go back. You know, that's how bad the manipulation is. And that's when I started to study. When I felt, after seeing the revenge porn, I'm like, oh my God, like for a second, I was like, I'm gonna have to go back because I don't know where else I'm gonna go. No one's gonna want me. He has this online, it's everywhere. Everybody's thinking I'm going back. They're forcing me back. I felt a pull, trying to pull me back. And when I went to the authorities, I was basically fighting for my life. I didn't know what to do but to say something. Like, please help me. This man is doing this to me, you know?
2 days after assaulting Janae, Eligio went live.
All you just belong to the three, and I will have my way with you as I see fit. I am not a man. I am not a woman. I am God.
This stream was absolutely unhinged, and is essentially just Eligio flexing his control of his followers to the world.
There's no authority. There's no one you can call to the place I will send you if you ever turn on me. Don't look at me, you f***ing imbeciles. Why are you looking at me? Down! Sit up. Oh, you feel my energy, don't you? You're under my will, you feel that? No, you're not high. You're under my will. I took the, look at these, this nothing, look at this regular shit I'm dealing with. Get out of my presence, move, all of you, leave me, immediately. Make it snappy, you got 3 seconds, out the room now, immediately, out, 1, 2, 3.
It seems plausible that Eligio is demonstrating his grip on his remaining followers in an effort to repair his ego, which would have been damaged by Janae's exit. Janae would report the assault to the police, and on the 13th of April 2022, Eligio Bishop was arrested following a raid on the Carbonation house in Dekalb County. He was charged with rape, false imprisonment, and revenge porn relating to his treatment of Janae. In the 2 years between Eligio's arrest and trial, members of Carbonation showed their loyalty to their leader by proclaiming his innocence on any platform they could find.
He's extremely loving, extremely forgiving, literally wouldn't hurt a fly. This is one of the most troubling experiences I've ever had. The man that most people refer to as Natureboy, I refer to him as God. I believe that he is God.
As previously mentioned, it was particularly disappointing to see the attempts to discredit Janae, as members tried to paint her as a bitter ex-lover of Eligio's, and parroted his own misogyny in defense of their idol.
Nobody, how you gonna go prostitute?
But we don't even get her energy in those videos, and you tell me if she was being.
Black women are being used as a catalyst to put a lot of black men away behind bars, especially when they're angry.
The trial of Natureboy began on the 22nd of February 2024, and it was as chaotic as you might expect by this point in the story. Eligio's defense tried to paint Janae as a bitter ex-lover and diminish Eligio's abuse of his followers by calling active cult members to the stand to speak out on their leader's behalf. One member was thrown out of court during testimony for claiming that Eligio was being maliciously prosecuted.
Also, Mr. Bishop was being prosecuted.
What did she just said?
You know what? He just lost his right to stay in the courtroom.
Another member tried to say that Eligio making girls slap Janae was not abusive, but simply to emulate the Will Smith-Chris Rock slap at the 2022 Oscars. Prosecutors pointed out that the Will Smith slap took place on the 27th of March 2022, after the incident in question.
And you realize the Chris Rock slap was March 27th, 2022, right?
I'm not aware of that.
So it was after this incident occurred.
The prosecution called on former members, including Janae, to testify about their experience in Carbon Nation, each of whom painted a picture of a group of vulnerable people being routinely victimized by a narcissistic leader.
And how many times do you think you told him no before you said okay? If you just had to...
I don't, so many times, I couldn't count. He interrupts me and says, "Shut up. You're my property. You're not going anywhere."
And other things that I wouldn't consider quote unquote rules, but were non-negotiable things in the group was that every woman had to have sex with Natureboy or have some type of sexual fantasy with him. And a lot of times when that would happen, it would be forced and non-consensual.
As a quick aside, this expert analysis of these victims' statements in this court TV coverage made for pretty shocking viewing, with panelists showing a huge amount of apathy toward the victims and making sexist comments and jokes about the case.
She's saying it's non-negotiable. Most relationships aren't really negotiable. It's normally the woman who's holding you hostage. But she could have left if she wanted to.
Note to self: gotta get me a cult.
And the only way for Al to get a date is to get a cult.
I am getting a cult fan. I am going to get cult, but I'm going to be known as Sensation Al.
Is this the R. Kelly trial all over again? Is this Atlanta Housewives? Maybe the show?
Wait, R. Kelly got convicted, right?
Yeah. So
okay, so that was a crime.
The attitude on display here actually serves to show how incredibly dismissing society can be towards rape as a crime. According to data from the American Medical Association, rape is the most underreported violent crime, and a shockingly low number of cases will end in a conviction. This is partially due to the fact that the dismissive attitude we see from members of this panel permeates society, leading to victims feeling they won't be taken seriously if they come forward, and no legal punishment will ultimately be inflicted on their abuser. With this in mind, whatever their opinions on these specific victims' testimony, it feels incredibly damaging to see a panel of supposed experts analyze a sexual assault case in such an unserious manner. And it is surprising that this was uploaded to the Court TV YouTube channel and remains there at the time of writing. The court heard audio of Eligio's 2022 arrest interview, where he defends his actions by describing himself as a ladies' man and saying the revenge porn was filmed for educational purposes.
Why would I rape a girl? I'm a ladies' man. I got like 5-6 women. I'm a girl for. They come to me.
Why would anybody accuse you of that?
Because they mad. I have a video showing how we did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but she's incomplete. She's like literally going through the spiritual journey. It's a spiritual video, like showing that the vagina, like it was really like an educational thing, right? And so I had the whole footage, like literally, like, and when she left, she was mad, and then she just flipped on me and said revenge porn. Because what happened was on my Twitter, when she left, I thought she wanted to leave. I was like, oh God. So when she left, it was still on Twitter. So she said, she didn't ask me, she didn't call me and say, can you take that down? Because we did that together, can you take that down? She didn't do that. She just said revenge porn. And I know it's my haters, saying, you should get on this. They're literally doing everything they can to put me in jail.
Eligio's behavior throughout the trial was predictably disrespectful. He was reprimanded for recording the following Instagram Live from jail after a day in court.
So yeah, y'all, the judge caught COVID. She tested positive for COVID. They don't want you to know that. They're trying to hide that. Out of all the cheating they did in this case, the judge tested positive for COVID. They don't say that on the news. They just trying to protect her some kind of way so she won't be shown to have tested positive for COVID. Out of nowhere. See, you can cheat all you want with this man law, but at the end of the day, there's the laws of the universe. See, you're being corrupt, and it's the laws of the universe, and this is what happened. She tested positive for COVID. I tell my lawyer, this is when I know I'm getting railroaded, because I'm telling my lawyer, I'm saying, like, I don't want to go in there with her with COVID. They're already cheating on me. They're cheating in the case as it is. I don't want to go in there right now.
Eligio also tried to fire his lawyer during proceedings and repeatedly argued with the judge about her positive COVID test, seemingly thinking this was his way out of the trial.
The COVID issue has been resolved. The attorneys are fine going forward. The jurors are fine going forward. I'm wearing a mask. It's not an issue.
Is that on record?
Yes, everything is on the record.
Okay, I would like to fire my attorney and find new counsel.
That is not an option. Okay, you're not listening to me, Mr. Bishop. Those are the two options you have at this juncture. Period. Nobody in the back can help you. Look at me. I'm talking to you. Two options: proceed with Mr. Booker, or proceed pro se and represent yourself, which is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea.
Why is that my only two options?
That's the law, Mr. Bishop. Period. That's the law.
So I'm not allowed to seek other counsel?
Not in the middle of trial. No, sir.
Even if I'm not being represented right?
Sir, that's the ruling. Do not argue with me.
Is that on record?
Everything is on record, Mr. Bishop. Everything is on the record.
What about the COVID?
We've already discussed that, sir. You're trying everything you can to not go forward with this trial. But
because I'm not being treated fair.
Okay, you are entitled to your opinion, Mr. Bishop. I'm not going to argue with you. But we are moving forward with the trial. Do you want to stay in the courtroom for the remainder of the proceeding, Mr. Bishop, and participate in this trial?
Participate?
Yes. Testify, not testify, be here when witnesses testify.
Whether I'm here or not, this is going to go forward.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Who will be representing me if I fire my lawyer?
You will represent yourself. Those are your interests.
And if I represent myself and not choose to be in the court, then who will represent?
Nobody.
Okay, well, I wanted to fire my attorney and not be in court.
Okay.
It was actually particularly interesting to watch Eligio struggle with not being in control of his surroundings. He clearly imagines himself the victim of a conspiracy. And for a misogynistic narcissist, it is hard to imagine a more distressing situation than a trial by a female judge, leading to his attempts to scramble for any little control he could exert over proceedings. It is also interesting to note that Eligio claims to be terrified about contracting COVID in 2024, when he was arrested for breaking pandemic restrictions in 2020 at the height of the virus. But this is just another indication that his views can change depending on what suits his needs at any given moment. Eligio would ultimately refuse to be in the courtroom for his sentencing due to anxieties about COVID, exercising what little control he had over his trial right up until the last moment. Victims gave impact statements detailing their experience in carbonation and Eligio's treatment of them. Each statement is beautifully delivered and powerful in its own way, and the link to the full sentencing hearing is included in the description for anyone interested in listening to more of them. Former member Kendra gave an incredibly powerful statement describing the abuse she had faced in the cult.
I would have never joined carbonation in 2017 if I knew that in 2020 Bishop would order other women to beat me until I curled up in a fetal position in order to surrender. I would have never joined in 2017 if I knew that I would be forced to watch as he beat a woman in front of all of us on the 4th of July of 2020 during a picnic in the park. I would have never joined if I knew that he would eventually separate other men from the women so that he could force every woman to have sex with him whether they wanted to or not. I would live in fear every day, not knowing who he would hurt that day, who he would order us to hurt, or if I would be hurt that day. He often responded to any resistance from the women with whipping them with a leather belt over and over while he laughed and made the rest of us watch. He would make us lay flat on our stomachs while he walked around in a rage, taunting us, degrading us, kicking us, and stomping on us, beating us into submission. He said we were his property and that he could do anything he wanted to us. No one was coming to save us in these foreign countries. He said no one cared about black girls like us, not in America or anywhere else. If we told anyone, we would be being disloyal, betraying the Christ, the Messiah. We would be going against God. In fact, we should be grateful that we get to be in his life, he said. No one else loved us like he did. He said he loved to dominate us and the feeling of being able to hurt us or kill us at any moment. He said that if he killed us, no one would know or care. So I pushed myself every day to stay on my best behavior in order to survive because my son needed a mother and I didn't want to hide him. It took months for me to stop blaming myself for the abuse and the sexual assault. With support from those in my life that truly love me, I was able to finally stop protecting my abuser and speak up about what happened to me and so many other young people. It's a shame even young children were involved as well, and not everyone made it out safely and alive. I never willingly joined a destructive sex cult, but in the end I learned that that is exactly what it was. I, like so many others, wanted to make a positive impact in the world, not to be hurt, abused, and used, exploited by Eligio Bishop. So many people have prayed for this day where justice is finally being served. And I thank everyone who heard us and who saw us and who fought for our freedom.
Janae gave a statement addressing Eligio directly, telling him he would eventually have to accept his actions.
Mr. Bishop, Babaji, has been a monster to us all, and we tried to see the best in him. He has tortured all of our souls and said he would send us to the abyss if we ever defied him. He made us believe that he was Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and for that alone is punishable. I hope this opens his eyes, and I pray that the people who are there with him are set free themselves, so they can stop living in the illusion that this man has placed on our minds. Eligio, you made us to be liars when we lived in truth, wanted to live in truth. Eligio, you demolished our connection with God just so you can be God. And you haunted our dreams like the monster you are. You damaged us all. You confused us all. Eligio, you have atoning to do. You were our guide. But now you're a prisoner, like you prisoned us. Now you're a prisoner, like you imprisoned us. And I even now pray that God has mercy on your soul. God will have mercy, I hope, for you. And this time there's no escaping, no running, no hiding. Face yourself and sit there until you understand why you're there. No Leroy, no Dr. Bishop, not even Three God or Natureboy will be there to save you. It's only you and God, the real God.
Throughout the victim's statements, Eligio can be seen smiling, laughing, and talking to the officers around him. And when the judge asked if he had any final words before sentencing, he chose to address his victims directly.
Do you swear to testify about the truth?
For sure. At all times.
All right, what is it you'd like me to consider?
I just want to say something to all of them.
Well,
I just want to say...
just direct it to me, please, not to...
I'll direct it to you. I'll direct it to you.
Okay.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
I'm not answering any questions of yours, Mr.
I forgive you. I forgive you, and I still love you. I forgive you, and I still love you. I got nothing in my heart. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. I forgive you. I want you to know I still love you and forgive you. And kiss my baby girl and let her know I love her. And I love y'all. I will never, I promise you, you know how I am. In my heart, you know how I am. I still love you. I still love you. I still love you.
All right.
I
got that.
No hate.
Okay.
No hate.
Is there anything else?
My heart, light as a feather. I promise you I love you and I'm still here. I ain't missed one lick. I see what y'all doing and I want you to know I forgive you. And I see y'all in the end.
All right, thank you.
I love you. I love you.
All right, I just needed the courtroom. We're done with that.
Eligio's disrespectful manner was addressed by the judge as she handed down her sentence, calling him a master manipulator and the definition of a narcissist as she sentenced him to life in prison.
You know, I would have been inclined to exercise some discretion had Mr. Bishop shown any remorse, guilt, or regret throughout this process. And I saw nothing during the trial but for him laughing and cutting up and looking shocked and surprised at all of the testimony. Mr. Bishop, you're a master manipulator and probably the classic definition of a narcissist that I've ever seen. I am going to follow the recommendation of the state in this case. So it's life without parole plus 10 years.
Over the next 2 years, members of Carbonation would start to come forward with tell-all interviews describing their experience in the cult. These interviews were used for information throughout this video and are all interesting and insightful. They are linked in the description for anyone interested in researching the case further. In August of 2024, what appeared to be the remnants of Carbonation would be evicted from squatting in a house in Dekalb County.
We don't sell our souls, sir.
Huh?
We do not sell our soul. Well, I don't want you to sell your soul. I just want you to come talk to us.
In the same month, it was reported that Eligio had been hospitalized after a prison fight. His wives, who are a few of the last members still loyal to him, would respond to this in a live, putting on full display how they continue to be brainwashed to this day.
He was jumped. Four niggas jumped on him and stabbed him out of nowhere. Just stabbed, my nigga.
I'm tired of y'all playing in his face. Like he not the crazy, like he not God. You speaking of God.
Hey,
yeah, he ain't dead. He ain't dead. His spirit lives through us. His spirit lives through us, and we right here.
Yeah.
We right here. We right here. It's not European. Nah, you a nigga.
How my hair look?
Nah, you a nigga. I'm a nigga.
Hair look,
I'm a nigga. I'm a nigga. I got nappy roots.
Nappy.
I got nappy roots.
It get
I got
dry.
coil that tight. The tighter the coil, the stronger the electromagnetic field. The stronger you are connected to source.
To God.
The stronger you can communicate and talk to God.
Come on.
Not no straight stringy hair. These charges on him, but they put him as a cult leader. A cult leader.
Come on now. It's a cult leader.
Who is a fucking cult leader? Who is a
Now
cult
we
leader?
don't do that shit
But
they do.
Europeans do shit like that to become. We ain't no damn cult leader.
We can only hope that given time, these women will begin to realize the true nature of the man they follow. A false prophet is defined as a person who falsely claims the gift of prophecy or divine inspiration, or who makes such claims for evil ends. Eligio Bishop may have started his cult to inspire others, as he claims, but he ultimately ended up inflicting trauma on everyone around him, as he abandoned enlightenment for control and sexual gratification. All the best lies have elements of truth, and some of the early tenets of Melanation have their base in truth. The modern world can be brutal and confusing, and society is riddled with inequality, making it easy to feel it could be better to live a simple life away from any hardship you're going through. Unfortunately, damaged people with this mindset were the perfect victims for Eligio Bishop's teachings and abuse. A man who, in his own words, experienced a complete lack of control throughout his childhood in the prison and foster care systems, and horrific abuse at the hands of his foster parents, only to perpetuate the cycle of abuse by controlling and abusing every person who followed him. We can only hope that all the people traumatized by Bishop's actions will be able to find comfort in his sentence and knowing that he was, finally, held responsible for his actions. The Carbonation case teaches us to beware of false prophets in our own lives, as we are bombarded on a daily basis by charlatans claiming they have figured out the key to our happiness, promoting some idea or product that will finally heal our pain or set us free. When, in truth, only we can do that. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel for more true crime documentaries. Special shout out to Lisa Says What and The T here on YouTube for their phenomenal and ongoing work in covering Carbonation. This video wouldn't have been possible without the arduous coverage these channels provided, so please check them out if you're interested in learning more about this case.